Greetings and salutes to all members of the Society for Military History. My name is Tim Bent, and I'm delighted to be standing in for my colleagues at Oxford University Press. All of us wish that we could be present and accounted for in Norfolk, but for the moment, probably like many of you, we're not yet traveling very much. Still, let me assure you that Oxford's list of military history is no less robust and on the move than ever it was, from the brief and succinct to the authoritative and immersive. On the one hand, there are the renowned very short introductions, such as Joe Gladhar's American Military History and Eugene Feidel's Military Justice. And on the other, books of sweeping scope and breathtaking breadth, such as Alexander Mikaberidze's The Napoleonic Wars, A Global History, this year's winner of the Distinguished Book Award for Non-American Military History category. As Lawrence Friedman said in a review of the book, it is hard to see how anyone will improve on this account. Recent offerings from OUP represent the press's long-standing contribution to military history over the years, from Jim McPherson's Battle Cry of Freedom, now in its fourth decade, to David Hackett Fisher's Washington Crossing, well into its second. I worked with David and Jim on the Pivotal Moments in American History series, and the latest entrant, published in February, is Colonel Kevin Weddell's The Complete Victory, Saratoga and the American Revolution. Weddell's book is, in fact, the complete book about the complete victory. The tradition of distinguished scholarship in Civil War continues with Brian Holden Reed's book on William Tecumseh Sherman, The Scourge of War. And of course, World War II continues to be a focus at Oxford. Just out is Wendy Goldman's and Donald Filtzer's book on the Soviet home front, Fortress, Dark and Stern. The Soviet experience of war is also a focus of Ian Johnson's Faustian Bargain, out this week, which reveals in full detail how Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia compiled a huge arsenal of sophisticated weaponry by cooperating with one another during the decade after World War I, until they turned those arsenals on each other in World War II, following Operation Barbarossa, whose 80th anniversary in June, Oxford marks with the publication of Jonathan Dimbleby's new book. And Francine Hirsch's book on the central and vital role played by the Soviets at the Nuremberg trials bookends the Soviet experience and will stand for generations as the authoritative account. On the Asian front in World War II are Brian Hayashi's book about Asian Americans who helped secure the Allied victory, and Mark Galicchio's book on the Japanese surrender, Unconditional, and the hot-button issue at its core involving the nature of that surrender. Oxford has published distinguished, memorable, and groundbreaking books on all the theaters of war across the ages and across the world, proof of the ways in which military history is no longer dominated by battle narrative alone, but by books that explore the full range of war's underlying causes and lingering effects. One of the more sobering reminders of its costs is The Other Face of Battle, in which four distinguished military historians, Wayne Lee, Anthony Carlson, David Preston, and David Silby, explore the history and the nature of asymmetrical and intercultural warfare and what it has meant to the American soldier. So, while we're not in Norfolk in person, we're there in spirit, and with books that, we believe, reflect Oxford's commitment to, indeed, embrace of, the discipline. And we'll be in Fort Worth next year, or so we fully expect. I, for one, will be touting Craig Simon's forthcoming book on Chester Nimitz, Nimitz at War, out next June. Until then, all of us at Oxford wish all of you a successful and productive conference.